In 1977, Les Turner was diagnosed with ALS, a fatal neuromuscular disorder that gradually causes the muscles in the body to shut down, resulting in paralysis, while the mind generally remains alert. At the time, Les and his family and friends could only dream of a cure because there was no reason to hope. Patient services were limited, and no significant research was being done. So Les and his friends set out to create hope. First, by raising enough money to start a research laboratory at Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine, and then pioneering a multidisciplinary clinical approach to patient care. Over the years, the Foundation's programs have grown, and hope has grown with them. There are now 2 world-class research laboratories, one headed by Dr. Tipu Sadiq and one headed by Dr. Hande Oostenlaer. And the Les Turner Lois Insolia ALS Center at Northwestern is making a significant impact on the lives of patients and families who can see a wide range of medical experts in one day, like Steve and Carol Kalinowski.
They're really tuned into the ALS patient, and it really, really means a lot to have people who understand what we go through on a day-to-day basis.
Everybody there was so compassionate, so caring. I remember sitting in the office and Dr. Heller came in and talked with Steve and did his examination, and then he looks at me and he said, "So how are you doing? And what can I do for you?"
I find this to be the finest part of being a physician. You are led into a family, patient situation, the family situation. Yeah, you don't have great answers and you don't have great cures. But we have the Lois Insolia ALS Center, we have Northwestern University, we have the Les Turner ALS Foundation.
Today, the Foundation is one of the leading ALS organizations in the world. Building on the knowledge and experience of its dedicated staff, the Foundation has greatly expanded services that not only help ease the burden of ALS, but also improve the quality of patients' lives. Everything from support groups and equipment loan banks to grants that help offset the cost of respite care, transportation, and communication devices. And home visits by nurse consultants like Eileen Mindell.
I'm able to offer them so many services. We sit with the resource guide, take a tour of the home, and educate them as to what is coming down the road.
Just everyday living is an adjustment. The adjustments that have to be made to the house to make things easy for Steve to get around. Ramping in the garage, bathrooms that have to be accessible for him. It's things that typically people never think about. So when Eileen comes over, she always has the next step or who we can talk to or who she can talk to for us.
Many of these programs are funded through the efforts of patients and loved ones who have benefited from the Foundation.
The beauty of the Les Turner Foundation is that these are very dedicated staff people, and the families feel it, and they want to give back, and they give back year after year.
That's how it is for the family of Bill Harlow, whose lives were shattered in 2001 when they learned the problem he was having with his golf swing was a symptom of a disease none of them was prepared to deal with.
It was really a lifesaver for us, not only for Bill, but the entire family.
We were very much still in shock, trying to react to something that was so devastating. As soon as we went into the center, that all started to change.
We were really set at ease that we were going to be well taken care of, and that as the disease progressed, they would be there for us, no matter what we needed.
Every 90 minutes, someone is diagnosed with ALS. In 10% of the cases, it is hereditary, but it can happen to anyone at any age. And it can progress quickly. Typically, patients live 2 to 5 years.
Maybe the most cruel part of it is the patient is fully aware of what is happening. You have a sound mind trapped inside an unsound body, and that's very difficult. You, in a sense, watch your world crumble around you.
And the symptoms come on so subtly that most patients don't realize anything major is wrong.
Initially, it was the sort of thing that I just attributed to getting older. Then I started having cramps when I slept, and gradually gave way to walking with a limp.
Every individual is different. Some people will initially notice some weakness in their limbs. Other people will notice some difficulty in speaking or swallowing.
As those physical abilities begin to erode and the day-to-day things become harder, eating, swallowing, breathing, the amount of care that is required is extraordinary.
No one is ever trained to do that. And if those who had gone through it before us hadn't paved the way, we wouldn't have had such a good experience. So we want to do that for the next people.
Since 2003, the Harlow family has played an integral role in the Foundation's success, from serving on the board of directors to unparalleled generosity of both their time and resources. Their influence cannot be overstated.
We had been through such a difficult time, but there was a period of healing, I guess you would call it, and then we were ready to help in any way we could.
It seemed pretty obvious to us, actually, to stay involved. Just because my father is no longer with us, that doesn't mean that there aren't many other people who need the same aid that we had. To say that we've recovered from that would be incorrect. We never have, and I don't think we ever will. It's become part of who we are as a family, and we try to support the foundation at every opportunity.
And also pay tribute to Bill, whose presence is still deeply felt.
My father was a man of exceptional character. He retired in 1986 and really started to get involved in a lot of charitable and philanthropic work. As I think about raising my own children, that it was those sorts of lessons that he taught us through example that are some of the most fond things I remember.
It's a lesson the Harlows reinforce every year at the annual ALS Walk for Life.
It's important to me that my grandchildren know about this disease and what happened to their grandfather. So that's one of the ways for them to be educated about that.
It really is kind of a day of remembrance in that sense, but it's also tremendously encouraging. I think of any day of the year, the walk is probably the one where I have the greatest sense of encouragement in terms of how we're going to eventually kick this disease.
Last August, that became not just a possibility, but a probability, thanks to the work of Dr. Tipu Siddique and his colleagues, Dr. Han-Xiang Dang and Wen-Ji Chen. After extensive work, funded largely by the foundation, they announced that they had discovered the mechanism that causes all forms of ALS and might even play a role in both Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. The answer? A breakdown in the protein pathway in the neurons of the spinal cord and brain.
I think this is the most important discovery because this gives us a handle for treatment. We are not grappling with the unknown now. And I'm excited to think that if we are given the resources, we would have answers in a few years' time. But the process may move faster than that because it's not just us. There are many, many people who are going to be involved across the globe in finding these answers. Of course, we would like to be the ones to find it. We have the intellectual capital, and we know what to do.
It was a very emotional morning for our family when that news came out. There's hope. Of course, there's always hope, but you just like to see something substantial. And this is a very, very positive time for the Les Turner ALS Foundation and the research at Northwestern.
I felt like if I wanted to go down to give Dr. Siddique an attaboy and cheer him on, that I could really do that. It was something very personal that hopefully is going to have some benefit for me and a lot of other people.
It really means that the work that we've been trying to do is paying off in a very direct way. And I think that anybody who's ever been involved with the foundation ought to feel really proud, frankly, and should have a sense of real optimism.
It is terminal. It's one of the things that you have to understand about the disease, but you still have to have hope. And I think that hope has to be active. And this dinner does a very good job of connecting people to that greater mission.
We're here tonight. We are participating in the foundation. And it is through being active and reaching out and talking to friends and donating money and spending the time that we will get to the next level.
I hope that people will find it in their hearts to continue to help us fight the fight and continue to help us find a cure, because we're going to find one.
I would like to know what happened to Bill. He was a healthy, strong individual, almost never sick. And I hope that someday we will know the cause, and I'd love for it to be in my lifetime.
Tonight, we are honored to recognize the Harlow family for staying true to Bill Harlow's legacy of caring and commitment, and for building on their experience to help other patients and their families as we draw ever closer to a cure.